Recovery. What does recovery look like? Wow, that's a good question. I think that's been one that's been hard to answer. I think recovery takes a couple things into play because as I've learned that 97% of people that have experienced childhood trauma are also addicts. So we don't really work on the addiction or the trauma by itself. They got to be worked on together. So how do we do that? How do we start navigating that space? I think one of the first things we have to do is we have to work at abstinence. Um, we have to get away from what the addictions look like. When I was a child and I was being groomed, the high school boy used pornography to introduce sexuality into my life, and after that, he used it to abuse me. So pornography was a major problem in life till I was probably early 20s. So how do we got to deal with that? How do we start having abstinence from our addiction? I wasn't working on my trauma, so it originally just was trying to manage addiction. And I was able to get away from the pornography, but I didn't get away from addiction. My addictions just changed. It changed into being a performaholic. Performaholic is what I call I performed for everybody. I felt I had no value, no self-worth, so I performed to have value, to have self-worth. I did that a lot at church. I was involved in everything. I did everything for everybody. I was a go-to guy. I performed, and people gave me accolades, and that gave me value. I became a cycloholic. I rode a bicycle a lot. For a few years, I rode 15,000 miles a year to be fast on a bicycle, so to be able to win races. I was in my early 30s, and I was winning and doing well against 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Gave me value. I did it in my work. I was a workaholic. Another way just to manage my pain I had. None of them were better or worse. They were just other addictions that I poured myself into to try to work through it. So the first thing you got to come to is, what are my addictions and how do I start managing them? The second thing is situational change. We got to change the situation we're in. And so the way I got with pornography was I changed the situation. I changed jobs and got away from where all the pornography was, moved to a different space, and there wasn't pornography, and I wasn't going to go buy it, so I didn't have pornography. So the pornography kind of went away, but like I said, I just filled it with something else at that point, not realizing they were also addictive behaviors that I was using to manage my pain. We've got to change the places we go, the people we hang out with. Next, we'd have to have behavioral changes. We got to create new disciplines, behaviors, routines. We got to recognize what's controlling and triggering us. We got to realize when someone says something and then I get on the bike and go ride 80 miles. Okay, what's that about? What is driving me that makes me go do those kind of things, that pushes me into my addictions? And I've got to start figuring out what are the triggers and what are the emotions that are wrapped up in there. Is that emotion from today or come from my past? And how powerful those emotions are that drive us into those addictions. Got to have a way of changing thinkings. I got to identify the lies and start telling myself the truth. The old loop we get into, negative self-talk, lies about other people, lies about God, lies about myself. I have no value. I have no worth unless I do something. God doesn't like me. He's mildly angry with me on my good days. I got to change those ways of thinking. I got to replace it with the truth that there is out there. I have to have a change in my emotion, the way I view emotions. I have to see that all emotions are okay, that emotions are good. God created them, and it's okay to have emotion. I had shut emotions off. I didn't allow myself to feel good or to feel joy because I never lived up to my expectations. So why do you feel good about yourself when you can't live up to your expectations of yourself? I had to change and start to believe, how about negative emotions? Are they good? How about anger? How about depression? How about anxiety? Can I have that and still manage? Um, Depression to me wasn't good. It was a dangerous emotion because when I'd been depressed before, I'd been suicidal and almost came to a place where I took my life. But is it okay to have depression? Can I use it to push into God? Can I find that emotion is healthy and helpful? Can God speak to me inside of my emotions in those deep emotional places? Will I allow Him to? Got to have relationship changes. We've got to build connection with God and with other people. That's difficult. I had found people to be unsafe, and I threw what I call frags into every relationship in life, fragmentation grenades. They were ways of exploding the relationship when I felt people were getting too close or getting to know me too well. I wore a lot of masks, and so how do we start dropping our masks, quit throwing frags, and allow people in? Create a place where I quit believing the lie that there are no safe people. Quit believing the lie that God is not safe. And I start trusting God and people with what's really going on inside and where I really am. I like to call it hot. When I need to be humble, I need to be open, I need to be transparent. When I'm at that place, I need some friends that can handle me being hot. I need a God that can handle me being hot. I need to be that way so I can continue to grow and heal. But I do need some safe places. So we need to start creating those places in our relationships. I need to change core beliefs. Beliefs about God, that come to find out He's not angry with me. That that's not how God lives. That He loves me, that He wants to be with me. And even on my worst days, when I'm in my worst emotional space in my head, when my feelings are all out of whack and I can't control it, I can run to my God and I can jump in His lap. And He just wraps His arms around me and He just holds me. And He holds me there till I calm down and I work through it. And then He releases me to go back into the world. That's the God I have. That's the God I know now. But that took a change in a core belief, because I didn't believe that was the God. That wasn't the God I knew, but that is the God who is, and I had to come to know Him. So we have to change our core beliefs, our philosophies, our worldviews. We have to question some of those philosophies and worldviews we have and we've been taught, and find the right ones, the true ones. What is the truth in life? I don't know where you are in those 7 different levels. Take a look and see where you think you are now. They're not all linear. Sometimes they happen all out of whack, all out of line. Well, where are you? What one are you doing well in? That's a thing we need to pat ourselves on the back. Yeah, I'm doing good. What one needs growth? Where do you need to press in? That's the one you need to look at. That's where we need to start. Love you. Hope it's been helpful.